I know exactly what you're thinking. Wouldn't it be great if it wasn't just my video feed that had Star Trek in the background? This is the episode for you. We've got Derek Wade. He's going to be talking to us about the desktop bridge and his experience on this episode of Dev Radio. Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Microsoft Dev Radio. I'm Jerry Nixon, and I'm excited to have Derek Wade here. He's the Chief Software Architect for Individual Software. He and his company have an incredible lineup of applications in their catalog, and they are investigating the Windows Store. We're going to talk to them a little bit about their experience, but before we talk about anything, Derek, tell us just a little bit about who you are. Who's Derek Wade?
Well, hi, thank you for having me. I am as you said, the Chief Software Engineer for Individual Software. I've been with them for about 4 years now, and been primarily focused on converting and migrating their catalog of applications to be mostly migrating from desktop applications to become more mobile and cloud aware. So we have had a great time the last 4 years of doing that, and we've been very excited with the introduction of the Microsoft Desktop Bridge and being able to deliver our products using this new channel to more Windows users.
Now, the individual software isn't totally unique in the situation they find themselves in. A lot of companies, ISVs especially, have built up a catalog of applications that run on Windows 7, even XP sometimes, and it's a bigger and bigger catalog. They slowly are finding the need to identify new channels, be able to put those applications in new channels, and of course one of them is going to be the Windows Store for Windows 10 users, of course, but there's plenty of other channels out there. Tell me a little bit about who is Individual Software. How did they come into the situation they're in today? Because it's a good situation.
Yes, absolutely. Individual Software has been around for about 35 years, and as you said, built up an extraordinary catalog of desktop applications. But as we've seen, as the internet has grown and broadband has grown, the means of electronic distribution has grown, and the retail channel, which we've been primarily tied to, has been shrinking. Less and less people are going to the stores to buy software. They're looking online. They're looking to download
This is a retail channel, like literally going into Best Buy, looking at a shelf full of software that's on the shelf and say, there's that piece of software I want to go buy. It used to be that's the way we all bought software.
That's right. Absolutely, exactly. So it used to be you went to a store to buy it specifically. Now, with the internet and so many other electronic distribution channels, users have a lot more choices. So they don't need to go and drive down to the store to look for that piece of software. So with that area of the market shrinking, we as a company had to adapt more to the electronic distribution model, and now that the Windows Store was introduced with Windows 8 and such, having to adapt or jump over to that channel as well as to be as a means for us to distribute our software. So
now the story with, because it's funny, you should go all the way back to Windows 8. When we introduced the Windows Store in Windows 8, it was a rough story for companies like yours, because we said, basically what we need you to do is rewrite your entire application so that you can go into our store and use our fancy distribution mechanism. Well, it turned out that fancy distribution mechanism is actually awesome, giving CDN distribution, or a content delivery network across the globe to any user with this clean install, clean uninstall, and all this like telemetry around it and all this certificate stuff taken care of for you. But you had to rewrite your entire application as a UWP application. That was the bummer. But then along came the Desktop Bridge. Walk me through a little bit about how did the Desktop Bridge change the story for Individual Software?
Yes, absolutely. That was the excitement and the downfall for us as well. As you said, it's a great new channel, but you can't usually leverage it unless you did this. So for us, that engineering effort would not have been fruitful. We did write a couple apps, and we did put them in the store at that point. But when we first heard about the Windows Bridge from Build 2015, our ears immediately perked up and said, "Hey, we got to watch this." And we got to see when Project Centennial was announced, and we were watching it very closely, waiting anxiously for it to be released to the developer community. And so back in last November, I believe, when it was officially released, we were one of the first ones to, I believe, one of the first ones to sort of jump on it, download it, and start trying to convert our desktop apps to it, and to see how, even in its early stages, how well it could do what they promised, and basically be able to package up our apps. And we had some successes. We didn't have some, and some didn't quite work as well. But but
let's talk about this from a
Yeah.
strategy point of view for a second. So there are companies like Individual Software, or even smaller companies where they just have one app. And talk to me about, why would a company start to invest in multiple channels rather than just focus on one? Like, look, we already send it through the whatchamahave store and we're happy. But why would a company start to investigate multiple like this? Isn't it a lot of technical effort on your side?
Well, actually, using the bridge technology makes it fairly easy to convert your app. So there's not a great amount of technology or time taken to use it if it's a straightforward process. As I said, there are some apps that were not so easy to convert. Some were very easy to convert. But as
what do you think makes that differentiation more often? The architecture of the app or the technologies behind the app?
We have found this the technologies in that, because we have such a breadth of portfolio, we are using a lot of older technologies that are maybe not supported as well compared to today. So all those variances, they although have done a great job of supporting a lot more of the recent technologies. Some of the older ones have not worked their way into the mix, and so we're working closely with them to help us facilitate those older technologies as well.
Yeah.
So, and
let's talk about the bridge just for a second. So one of the things I know you went to, you're a retail channel, and where your application is boxed up and shipped out, and people buy it right off the shelf.
Correct.
Your applications show up in the Steam network. A lot of people don't even know you can put non-games in the Steam catalog at all. But
Absolutely.
You can get a lot of things, deliver your app through that. You've put probably a majority of your catalog in Steam.
Yes, actually we have. We were also a couple of years ago. We were not familiar with Steam at all. It came up on our radar, and we talked with them. And when we found out that they were open to adding other types of applications, not just games, to their portfolio there, we jumped on board with that as well, and actually have been surprisingly successful with the type of programs and such that have found a new home through that channel.
Yeah, it's kind of like fishing. The more fishing rods you have in the water at once, the more odds you get at catching
exactly.
fish. It's
Exactly. That's
that
it.
much better.
Exactly. It's the exposure. It's now that users are having more of a choice. You kind of have to try to cover all your bases, all your different possibilities, so that you get your name and your brand out there well enough. So.
Now, for the Windows Store, of course, we've announced that I think we're at 500 million users now are using Windows 10, and so they have access to the Windows Store. Even if half of those have even discovered there's a Store app on their desktop, that's 250 potential million customers. That's pretty great. And of course, that's going to grow. We announced with Windows 10s just a month or so ago that the only way to deliver software is through the store. So what you didn't say, the only way to deliver software is to write it as UWP. The only way to deliver is just through the store. That includes apps like yours that have been converted through the bridge and then put into the store that way. So the opportunity is certainly growing. And, we like to think that maybe the Windows Store feels a little bit more maybe like two rods in the water at one time. At least it's going to grow to that, because it's inevitable. As enterprises begin to change, as everybody's refreshing their home laptops and desktops, you're going to see Windows 10 is the only option they have. So naturally, they're going to be upgrading to it. And so being able to get anything into the store, there are a handful of caveats of things can't be put into the store. Tell me a little bit about the ones that have in your catalog, some of the things that you've already put into the store, and as a result, it's starting a momentum for other apps you're going to put in the store.
Sure. One of our first foray into the store that we attempted were our typing programs. They've been very successful for us on the desktop. We have them ranging for different age groups so that younger kids can even enjoy learning how to type better, and all the way up to adults to improve their typing speed and accuracy. So we were able to convert and promote 4 of our products through the store, and have seen some relatively good success with that, with their adoption and with their being found and being purchased. So
a big aspect of your catalog, a big pie chunk, is tools to help everybody who is learning to type to be able to practice and train and become better typers. If I could tell you one thing, before we start talking about that, I can tell a good typer from a bad typer, and there's an amazing difference. Like, one is like, I'm going to write up this article so that you guys can see it, and the other one is like, I'm going to hand peck this article and you'll never see it because I'll never get it done. Or they're the ones who are like, I'm going to be jamming out code all night long and it's going to be at the speed of light, versus the other one is like, I'm going to hack together what I can and do a lot of copy and pasting because of it. It's amazing what simple skills that we kind of take advantage of, and you're like, wow, are there really typing skills? Is that still really a valuable thing? Well, it depends on if you're typing. It depends on your industry. In mine, where I'm writing software all the time, wow. In writing industries, where you're actually crafting documents, wow, absolutely. And if you think everything is voice, then you got it all wrong. And if you think you can type faster with your thumbs than you can with 10 fingers, then you're kind of a dope. So so you have a set of typing instructor apps. You have different flavors, kind of for different age groups and things like that.
Yes, and from kindergarten up through adulthood, basically. So we market to both consumers and also to schools and education and adult education corporations and companies and such, and school districts and so on, to because the kids these days are not handwriting their stuff anymore. They're having to type it. So
that's the truth.
So even taking tests. And so not only now when you're taking a test, especially a time test, are you having to deal with coming up and crafting what you want to write, but now you have to actually, through the time, be able to type it well. And so now you have 2 time factors on your hands rather than just one, whereas before, handwriting was always very, very quick and very easy. But now if you can't type quickly, then it's going to be a hard time getting your thoughts into the system and on the paper.
You know what's funny is I when I teach classes, I always love using the whiteboard, and I write in cursive, of course, especially when I'm writing fast. That's how it all is. And slowly that's becoming not a foreign language as much as almost like a secret spy language, because I'm writing in your language, you just can't read it.
Right.
It's kind of hilarious.
Exactly.
I'm going to have to write like a kindergartner so I can reach everybody. It's kind of crazy. Everything's blocked. But typing is a big deal, and you're absolutely right. The value, if I'm a student or if I'm a parent and I'm looking at my student, I'm like, well, how can I really encourage them to be better typers? And why would I? One of them is because if you have an hour to take a test and you're a slow typist, you really have about 30 minutes to take the test, because you're spending a lot of your time trying to find where the K is on the keyboard versus just putting down your thoughts, especially if it's an essay-oriented test as well.
Exactly. So aside from those, we've also gotten into our other genres of our software. We have a genealogy product called Family Tree Heritage. And coming in the pipeline, we have our Anytime Organizer product that works like a day timer and kind of works the way you do, and sort of helps you organize your day and your notes and your to-dos and so on. And then also our industry-leading resume product that helps you create a very professional resume and helps you get a job and job searching and so on. So those are in our pipeline right now.
Called Resume Maker, and it is all of those. In fact, really all of your submissions or all of your apps in the store are really quite a story when it comes to the Desktop Bridge, because they are such a potpourri of technology. It is kind of off the charts. When you look at your typing one, like one of the typing ones is you have Disney, and it's great. All these different modalities to reach different types of people, and you have this Disney experience where you're in there and they're playing games to type, and all that's enabled by Flash. And you're like, well, I wonder if Flash is going to be, will that work if I put it in the store? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely it will. And it'll work without having to make compromises, and it'll look great when you do it too. And that's a pretty neat thing when a company like yours is considering the store. And, the first question you're going to ask is, what's it going to cost me to be able to get into this new channel? Is it going to, are we going to have to rewrite, change a whole bunch, have special builds or whatever it is? When we do and I'm going to put the air quotes up here, when we do a conversion of an application through the bridge into the store, a Win32 application like yours, not a single byte is changed inside your application. We're really just converting your installer so that goes through. What was your experience when you put in your 4 different typing apps? Let's talk about them for a second. You have your Disney app. You have one specifically targeted for kids, but it's not branded for Disney. You have Platinum, which is your super duper, and then you have your straightforward typing instructor, right?
Just typing instructor. Yes.
Yeah. So see, I know them, man. And those 4 all kind of rest on the same foundational technology. All 4 can go through the converter. What was your experience as far as how many lines of code you needed to change to support the store?
Yeah, with those we basically made no changes at all. The process was very straightforward. Because as you mentioned, they were a wrapped technology to begin with using Flash. That technology fortunately did convert well and was self-contained. Yeah. So it made the process even easier. I think really the difficulties we may have had were just getting it through the approval process, or just having them tested enough.
Because our testers don't type fast enough to see level 2 is the problem.
They had to get through the whole thing as it was. But yeah, those were actually very straightforward to convert and without any changes at all. So yes, as you pointed out, the great thing is that the conversion process really isn't a conversion, more as much of a containing process, or a wrap containing process. And so it's just so that that your program should behave exactly the same inside of the app container versus outside.
Yeah, so, and the user doesn't know, right? They don't know what technology is what. They just see that it's all there and Disney's dancing and it's great. And so
that's right.
Let's talk about the technologies of the other apps that we mentioned, just so we can start to get a feel for just the breadth of technologies that are supported through the bridge. When we have Family Tree Heritage, what's the underlying technology of Family Tree Heritage?
It actually is that is a Windows app. I believe we are we're a publisher of it, and it's written in C++. So, okay. And I think it's I do not know the exact version that is targeted from.
Well, but I'm glad we have it, because there's a lot of C++ Win32 apps out there, and they seem like they're the most. The assumption would be they're the most difficult, and they're just not. All of this really executes your application still inside a process, but then it just executes it like normal. And so your Win32 application will work. And the reason this is relevant is if I'm a developer listening to the show, and I am currently supporting a line of business application we wrote for our enterprise, and I'm like, wow, this line of business application would sure be better if I could deploy this through the Windows Store for Business. But, we kind of missed the boat because we are out there on a technology that is pre-store. But basically the bridge is saying pre-store tech, welcome, come on in. And 9 out of 10, you're going to be able to do this in a very simple methodology. What are some of the other technologies out there? I'll just throw in, I know Silverlight works as well. What are some of the other technologies that you're going to be coming up to?
We were looking through one of their other apps. Actually, was still being maintained in VB6. So that would be one that we're looking to convert as well. We're hoping that it comes across. We haven't tried converting it yet. So, but that's the level of technology that we're still supporting. We were both C6.
And you aren't the only one. So. You and 90% of the world, right?
Right, exactly. There's many apps in corporate, like you said, corporate America, and so on, that were written way back and have not been updated, upgraded, and so on. And the store itself, as you mentioned, as a distribution means, gives a developer so many benefits, especially in the realm of maintaining updates and maintaining your application being keeping it up to date and so on. All that stuff you had to write before to check for updates and all of that is all taken care of. And especially even for us as a retail company, the whole means of being able to offer a trial version of your software without and maintain and all the code that would go into that, where you had to lock it down or do this check or write that use that library and such. The store manages all that for you as well. And so there's a lot of great things from a developer and technology standpoint that now we don't have to worry about. The store can take care of it all for us.
Yeah, the upgrade process. This is what every app has, right? Some little tray application that looks to see whether or not your application needs to be updated, and if so, nag the user until they finally do it.
Right.
And that's really one of the things we allow you to take out of your application, so that you no longer need to do that. You just let the store look for that and automatically upgrade everybody. And then we give telemetry back to you, which is super valuable to say, here are all the installs, here's where they all are, here's the type of user they are, and the versions they're running, so that you can see them being pushed out. And you can handle that push out with flights and A/B testing, all that stuff, or just upgrade it. And then slowly the store just eventually will force an upgrade to make sure everybody has the version that you as a publisher require. That's a lot of power. A lot of answered prayer for software developers to be able to finally have this behind them, so they're not maintaining and supporting these versions that are
absolutely
a lifetime old.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about Resume Maker. Tell me a little bit about the features. Why do people like it so much?
Well, it just really is easy to use, and you are able to start out very simply with entering your information, and it composes and formats a resume in a very professional manner. We're upgrading it pretty much every year or two, and we have 45 different styles of resumes that you can use, we even have sample resumes you can start with that's for different lines of industry to show you, for your industry, what features and sections and topics you should include in your resume, so that you have the best chance of landing that job. And we're also adding new features more relevant to today, with being able to link to your social media, or even promote video resumes where you can make a little presentation of yourself. And a lot of graphic artists and stuff maybe include their portfolio or something along those lines, so that not only do you have a flat resume that you're in front of somebody, but you give them a means to sort of dig a little bit deeper and see the level of work that you've done, so they can factor that into their choice analysis. So.
And a resume is just a fact of life. Everybody's going to eventually hit a time when they're changing from one job to another. And what's funny is it's not one of those skills that you just maintain unless you're just the guy who changes a job every year. Otherwise, it's the thing you have to kind of remind yourself, now, what needs to go on a resume? It's funny how that kind of happens. Yes. And that's cool, especially students, right, looking to they have no idea. And something like this can give them the guidance and sort of the counseling of what belongs where and how it should look, so they come across way more professional than the crazy thing they'd hack together on their own in their dorm room.
Absolutely. The program has a guide that will walk you through the process. It'll give you suggestions. We have expert advice from countless sources of what to include, how to include it, how you should word things. We even have sample phrases and sample words or suggestions of words and so on, to make your resume stand out more than
that's cool,
more than the others, so that and so we really, it has been one of the number one selling products for years, and independently rated against there's about 10 or so products out there every year, and we consistently rank in the top one or two, depending upon the area. So we're very proud of that. It's been about that way for about the last 10 years or so. So it's been a very strong product for us, and so we're very looking forward to being able to convert it to the store, and again take advantage of those benefits that the store offers, and as well as just a new distribution means to put it up in front of other people or new people, new clients. So.
Well, I just heard Colorado's less than 2% unemployment right now. I kind of blame individual software for that.
Well, that's not a bad thing. But
no,
it's not a bad thing.
Another one you mentioned was the Will Maker. That's another kind of almost like an anchor product, right? That it just I mean, it'll never happen. Who do you think buys the most will maker products? Parents who just had kids?
Yeah, I would say that's one of the things that even me as a parent was not too attuned to thinking, oh my gosh, I have to create a will, or especially after having children.
Yeah.
And what was actually a funny story was we had that in our store, and we actually saw a huge spike of sales after Prince died.
Really?
Because it was touted that he did not have a will.
Uh,
And so everyone's ears went, oh,
if
what?
even
No
Prince
will?
could die, so can I. Yeah,
Yes,
what's
exactly.
a will?
Exactly. And what happened is like, yeah, because he didn't have a will, all of these things happen. It's like, oh my gosh, because the way our society is, our government is, and so on, about how your assets are to be managed and handled. And to many people think, they think, oh, what I have, I don't know, it's not important enough to have a will. But believe me, anything you have is worth having, being covered by a will or a legal document or a trust or whatever it happens to be. So that product, yes, is very much a mainstay. And so we're working with the developer to be able to move it into the Windows Store. So, but that's still coming.
Sure. And then, there's a big upset recently in France. The president got kicked out, no, not kicked out, but got replaced by totally the unexpected person. And I think the reason was, I've heard on the news, is because he's so organized. So I don't doubt that there'll be a big spike soon in Anytime Organizer that'll just be like, have you heard that? I'm starting a rumor. It's crazy. I'm trying to bump up a stock price.
I like that. You post that a few more times. Yes, I think organization is one of those big things that everyone struggles with, and in many cases, it's because you need something that works the way you do versus trying to fit into a model that someone's trying to force you into, because then you become resistant and then you don't want to use it and so on. But if you have something that works and they have something that works the way you like to work, makes things easy to see, clearly outlined and so on, it allows you to manage your appointments and your to-dos and your contacts. There are so many things out there. When we created the product originally, about 20 years ago almost, when we first created it, but it was the high time of the Palm Pilot and the Daytime Organizer and such. But so many of those things have now been replaced and so have moved along. But our Anytime product still is very widely used. We're looking now to move it into the realm from strictly a desktop app into more of a cloud-connected app, and to all a variety of platforms, leveraging.
Isn't it funny how you talk to somebody about their PC or whatever, and they're like, hey, I can't get my printer to print or whatever, and you go look at it, and you're like, what's this? And you're like, oh, that's the program I use to organize my contacts, or something that hasn't been sold since 1988, and they're like, oh, it still works great and I still love it. It's really crazy what kind of legs you can get under it. And it's kind of related to your resume application. I organize in a certain way, and if I organized everything with my employer, then a change with an employer suddenly means my entire organization structure has just been reset as well. And so to have something for me rather than something through someone else, then I'm the one that kind of gets to control it as well. So it's kind of funny. Right. Anytime Software, all the way back to the Palm Pilot, there are probably people running the original version, swear by it today, and they would, they'd send you hate mail if you ever got rid of that sort of thing.
No, we have a very loyal following, and we do have a lot of people still very much say, when's the new version coming? When's the new version?
Right.
So,
and it's easy enough. And so that's these different it's funny. So we know VB6, absolutely. Win32, C++ applications, Visual C++ applications, absolutely. WPF applications I've written, absolutely. Those go into the store. WinForms, absolutely. They go into the store. Silverlight, Flash. Let me think of another. Can I even think of another kind of application? Blah, blah, blah. As long as it doesn't require admin privileges, it's an easy thing to go through the desktop bridge and just immediately drop it into the store. And it's kind of cool because it handles all these things, gives you all these benefits, not just telemetry. I mean, that sort of thing is actually nice because then there's one point of telemetry rather than all these different apps talking back to their cloud services trying to do it. Now my computer has all these apps, but they all talk through the store, which also provides the telemetry through a single point. And then delivery updates, updates that are broken out by the block, so that you can do hot fixes and patches without having to do hot fixes and patches, because the store will do that for you. Just these little things that are just really sweet. You don't have to pay ingress or egress for any sort of delivery. That's a real cost for real software companies. They're going to have to pay for that sort of transport, and then you have to think about CDN and signing the application, getting an app cert for each one. Everything's taken care of by the it's crazy. It just goes on, and it really is worth an investigation. If you are thinking about, if you haven't thought about it, I'd be curious why not. If you are thinking about it, you're going to like what you see, because there's just a lot of stuff on the other end. If you happen to be that 10% that doesn't fit the mold for whatever reason, that's a bummer. And sometimes it's a small number of changes you need to make in order to make that work out. Sometimes it's a big number, and so it just isn't going to be for you. But on the whole, you'd be surprised at the types of apps that are in the store now. Yep. And when I go to the store and I start searching for, Resume Maker or whatever, and apps come up and I'm like, oh, I'll have that. My brain might think, oh, I'm getting a UWP app. For all I know, I'm actually getting a WPF app or a WinForms app that was ported by the store. I can't tell the difference. It just loads, works fine, and it's just one of those beautiful experiences that allows it to all go through the store. And individual software is you've probably embraced it probably as much as anybody.
Yes, I would say so. When we first started, it was great to have the support from Microsoft and their teams there to walk us through the process, to help us get through our first apps getting into the store. And so the overall experience has been great in that respect. So I think Microsoft's done a great job of helping the companies who want to get their apps into the store get them there.
Yeah. In fact, a worthwhile URL to just mention is aka.ms/desktopbridge-signup, because no application can be submitted through the desktop bridge until it has full trust access, because that full trust requirement is important, because a Win32 app expects to have full trust. And so if you want it to have full trust, we'll give it full trust, but we'll have to vet it. So even our favorite software vendors, the ones that put them in the store, we've had to vet your applications to give them full trust in advance, so that when you submit it, everything works great. So if you have used the bridge and you've submitted the app and you keep getting that error that says you don't have permission to submit this app, it's because you don't have full trust. And you can go to that aka.ms/desktop sign up, and then they'll kind of white glove you through the process. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Yes, exactly.
Now, so we know what was in the past, right? We've got your typing applications. We know what's in the future. We're going to get family tree heritage. We're going to get resume, will, and what was the third one? Oh, and the organizer, right? Mm-hmm. And then what's the blue sky for you? What's in the distance for individual software?
Well, we're really, like I mentioned a little earlier, is the Anytime product. We were looking really forward to bringing it to being made possibly a full UWP app versus the desktop, or giving it a whole lot of new features and making it really cloud savvy and such. So we're really looking forward to leveraging what the store can do for us and what the cloud can do for us, and and so on. So. And you can always, and you can mix those. You can have a pure UWP, pure Win32. You can mix those and have them half and half if you need to for a while. That's nice. As you go to cloud and you're looking at performance, even different devices that you want to support, then it's a cool option to be able to drop into UWP and do anything you want. Because I guess I could write my will inside the HoloLens. Yeah, there we go.
Trying to think about that experience. I like it. Everything's going to be mixed reality soon, man. Just mark my words. Now we're like, ooh, mixed reality. That's an awfully neat thing. No, a year from now we'll be talking mixed reality. You'd be dumb not to do. I mean, everything is going to be mixed reality, and it's just one of those cool sort of options that maybe your Win32 application won't run on a HoloLens, but your Win32 application will run on a laptop that has a mixed reality goggle plugged into it. Mm-hmm. So now you have all kinds of. Now, what does that do? What does that look like? Can I actually show it? We'll have to see, but it's pretty exciting what's coming. I tell you what, Derek, it's cool stuff. Cool stuff. It's pretty neat to meet somebody who jumps on the bandwagon early on, kind of bites the bullet, absorbs a little bit of the pain of the early things that are changing kind of under your feet, and now here you are. You're already in the store seeing the benefits enough that it enough that it justifies going down your catalog and adding more applications through the bridge as well.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Cool. This has been a fascinating conversation. I hope there's a developer out there who either thinks about their open source project, that they're ready to put into the store as well, that they only deliver through download.com or Two Cows. Is that still around? Yeah. And you know what I mean? Or maybe internally where you can use the store as well, because now your company has started their process of upgrading to Windows 10 on the desktop. That's obviously a requirement for the store, but and that's it, and you're ready to go. It's been great, Derek. Thanks for being on the show today. It's been fascinating to kind of hear your experience, both the good, the bad, and the not so bad.
Yep. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Derek. We'll see you again.